Did Charlotte commit murder? Will Rosalind have to see her sister go to jail for murder? Oh, good God. I'm binge reading this series. I've got one more book to go and then move on to other stuff. Oh, Casanova. I'm not a pincushion. So, book 5 in the Rosalind Thorne Mysteries, A Counterfeit Suitor by Darcie Wilde. Now, we've got a little bit of a cast. Where's it good? There we go. Adam Harkness is the Bow Street Runner, and I'm still not over the fact that Rosalind dumped Castlemaine. Casanova, sorry. She had this chance to become a duchess, and I felt that her being a duchess would give her the power that she needed to do the investigations, that no one would discount a duchess. Oh, by the way, welcome to the Dealer Reads Book Series channel. I'm Christina, Kristina, and I'm just very enthusiastic about my book, and I forgot. So if you're still with me, and I hope you're still with me, you will like and subscribe my channel and let me know I'm doing a good job, because I really need your encouragement, please. It's just almost 300 videos and nobody's watching. Oh, good God. So anyways, this is just driving me crazy. I'm still kind of brokenhearted that she gave up the Duke. And I think, I don't know yet, I don't know for sure, but I think Rosalind's going to end up with Adam Harkness, the Bow Street Runner, so they can start solving cases together. I would hope, and it's probably, oh God, it's probably a false hope, that like in the Victoria Thomas books, Sarah Brandt and Frank Malloy, that Adam inherits some money from some relative and they can actually boost up their thing, but I don't think that's going to happen. So we've got Adam Harkness. Rosalind is a lady who has had a disturbed past. She was a baronet's daughter, and the baronet got into some large amounts of debt, and instead of facing the situation, him and his oldest daughter split town, and the mother ended up just dying, heartbroken that her husband left her, because she always was convinced he was coming back. So Reginald is Rosalind's father, and Charlotte, aka Cynthia. Now that we know, they had split, and then they came back, and when they came back, Charlotte came back as a courtesan. She was courting men, and she actually has met a guy with money. But anyway, in the meantime, she was keeping her father in a house in Bath, under guard. He was allowed one alcohol beverage a day because he was an alcoholic, and it was just enough to keep him quiet. But the man wanted out. The man wanted his freedom. The man had all these dreams of getting his life back. But he also had Alzheimer's, and he wasn't all there either. And his being a world-class forger is also going to come into play later on. And so we have Adam Harkness. Reginald is her father. Adam Harkness is the Bow Street Runner. Charlotte, or aka Cynthia, because Cynthia is her courtesan name, is her sister. And then David Royce is the coroner. He actually, in these books, it seems he has a little bit of power. And he has, I haven't really investigated it, but he's allowed to do inquests and stuff like that, so I don't know what's up with that. And Alice and George Littlefield are her friends, and they are also reporters. What's up, Casanova? Come here. Come over here. Oh, you have to fix your bed. It fell. It fell. Here you go. There's your bed. So, and George, we don't see him much in this episode, is engaged to Hannah Littlefield, and she's a seamstress. And because of the stuff with Devon, the Duke, Miss Kendricks has left Rosalind because Mrs. Kendricks had her heart set, like I did, on Rosalind getting with the Duke. But after the last book, Rosalind decided that she liked her life of investigation more than she liked Devon. What does that say about the guy? Here's this rich Duke, and she prefers her life of investigation over the Duke. Of course, it could also be the fact that she might still have some affection for Adam Harkness, which, by the way, when all of her encounters with Devon, they were just polite encounters. But with Adam, there's a little bit of heart palpitations. So we know that the feelings are more from Adam Harkness than originally led on. And in fact, there is a passionate smooch between Adam and Rosalind in this book. So, so we also have Sanderson Fox, who's a friend and a confidant, and he's got some good connections. So in this book, book 5, A Counterfeit Suitor, there's a prologue about Sir Reginald Thorne, who is upset with his daughters for keeping him in lockup in a fancy house in Bath, and not allowing him to have more alcohol. And like I said, he has all these dreams of, being right in society again with the whole tone. And a fire breaks out, and down the neighborhood in a garbage or something. And his men who are guarding him leave to go assist with the fire, and so Reginald takes this opportunity to escape. So he has escaped. Then we start the book. That was the prologue. We start the book, and Alice has been writing about, because George and Alice had been living together as correspondents. They are brother and sister. So when George decided to get married, Alice decided, because Mrs. Kendricks left Rosalind, Alice is going to move in with Rosalind, and George and Hannah can have the house. So Alice has moved in with Rosalind, and she's also received the really good news that the publisher has decided to publish her book. Alice is an author in addition to writing the newspaper column. So then it's also just, they receive a note from her sister Charlotte about her father's escaping from Bath. And we also learn that because Miss Kendricks left Rosalind because of the stuff over Devon, supposedly, they have a new housemate, Amelia. So Charlotte also comes to visit Rosalind and tells her about the father missing, and also tells Rosalind that she's about to be married. but doesn't tell her who, what, where, why, nothing. She keeps all that as secrets to herself. So Charlotte is to be married, and the reason she's to be married is because she's with child. So she's afraid if her fiance finds out the truth about her father, he won't marry her. So Charlotte agrees to let Rosalind pay Adam Harkness to investigate their missing father. And Charlotte said that she would foot the bill because Rosalind obviously doesn't have the money. So Rosalind writes to Adam Harkness and explains the situation. Then Rosalind goes to see her client that she's currently working for. And this is Mrs. Valentina Walliford and her daughter Augustina. And I am telling you, this is Space to Sunday. You will not see this coming. The twisties and the turnies in this book, it's so multi-layered. This series has spoiled me rotten. Gonna read the next one, and then we'll go on to back to Fortune and Argeno and Sparks and the rest of them. But I've enjoyed this series immensely, and it's gonna kill me to have to wait a year for the next one. But we will get through the next one, and then we'll wait the year impatiently, of course. So, like I said, this is so multi-layered. And so Rosalind has a new client that she's supposedly trying to help. Oh, how's it going, Casanova? What? Come here. What? You sitting guard? He can't go anyplace. This girl's over there. He's afraid of girls. Period. End. He is afraid of girls. So where was I? Oh, yeah. So Rosalind has this client. And this is just so... Oh, when you get to the end and have to unwrap all this stuff, it's going to be like, oh my God, there are so many pieces to this puzzle. And I'll give you a little bit more of it. So Rosalind goes to... All right, she has this client, Mrs. Valentina Walford. Where did she get these names from? Anyway, apparently, this is so hard. It's not true. Well, it's true, but it's not true. All right. So Mrs. Walford is at the heart of this whole thing, but it takes a while to get there. So anyways, Mrs. Walford has Rosalind investigating Mr. Salter, or Slater, however you want to say it, because he is wanting to elope with her daughter, and she feels that her daughter is getting involved with the wrong gentleman because he's a gambler and he needs funds. And she totally believes, or she tells Rosalind, she totally believes that he just wants to marry her for her money. And so she has Rosalind investigate him. And she finds out, yes, that, what? Come here. Come here. She finds out that he was involved. There was this whole thing with Napoleon, and it caused the stock market crash. And he was one of the ones responsible for the stock market crash. So they planned this big charade thing at the opera, and they were going to do this big public charade thing, and she was going to have her friend... What do you see? You see a girl? There's a girl over there. So she sees they have this big charade plan for the opera, and in the meantime, she's going to call it off, but, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Alice, Rosalind, and Horatio Slater, and Mrs. Walford and her daughter, and one of her brothers, Etne, attend the opera. And Rosalind discovers that Augustina is in love with Horatio Slater. The truth will come out about that. So, the Countess Darcie of Leven, who was one of the highest ranking members with the Almec with Lady Jersey, and she's married to a political government type, Christopher von Leven, and she's out with Lord Palmerton, a friend, and saw that Saunderson Fox arrives, and he's supposed to produce a show. You know, he's supposed to come in and say that he has Mr. Slater's notes, and Mr. Slater owes him money, and he's got gambling debts, and this is supposed to be this big, huge thing. And in the middle of all of this, Mr. Fullerton arrives with Rosalind's father, who is plastered off his butt, and he makes this big scene. And it's Mrs. Leven who curtails it. So then Adam Harkness arrives, and the next chapter is told by Fullerton's point of view. He talks, we're back the next day, and Fullerton and Reginald are having a discussion, and he's talking the father into writing discriminatory letters against his daughters so he can use them to get back into society. And then Rosalind and Alice discuss Russell's motives for this whole big thing at the theater the night before. And then Rosalind discovers that someone's been questioning her new maid. And then Harkness arrives, and she tells him that Mr. Fullerton wants her to stay out of his business, or he will ruin her like her father was ruined. And she wants Harkness to retrieve her father from Mr. Fullerton. She also gives Harkness the promissory notes that her father forged and sold to raise money. And Harkness says, there's another way here, keep these. I don't want to see them, pretend I didn't see them. So then Rosalind goes to Mr. Clement's circulating library where she's supposed to meet her sister, but her sister never shows up. And then the next chapter is told from Mr. Harkness's point of view that Captain Samson Agutia has set for him that there has been a second murder at the house of Russell Fulton. His manservant has been killed. And Samson tells Harkness that Fulton says it's Marcus Gill, but upon closer investigation realizes that Sir Reginald has been murdered. And there's an incriminating letter in his hands, supposedly written to Rosalind from Charlotte, which, as known, Sir Reginald is a forger. So it's most likely that he forged the letter and was disturbed in the middle of writing it. So Adam, not knowing this, hides the letter because he doesn't want anybody to know that the sisters are involved in this. So, and Fullerton was in the middle of burning evidence, and they don't know what evidence he was burning. Then Rosalind and Alice discuss the situation in regards to Charlotte being missing and the potential suitor she's got. And Rosalind received an update from Fox saying that Mr. Salter never returned back to the theater box after the altercation that happened in the lobby. And then Rosalind gets invited to Countess Levin's house, and she gives the insinuation that there might be a little bit more political stuff going on here. Then the Countess says that, and she does this by saying that she has to meet with Charlotte. So apparently Charlotte's got more of a secret past than Rosalind knows about. And then the note that Adam pocketed is weighing heavily on his brain. And then Samuel Taunton comes and they talk about the ashes, and he has some experienced people that know how to deal with ashes, and they're gonna pick out other pieces of other letters. And then Harkness goes to see Sir David, and Sir David says he was stabbed twice, front and back. Rosalind discusses the Countess believing that Fullerton was part of the Napoleon ring. And Rosalind also tells Alice that her father and Charlotte have lived in Paris for several years, so that ties them to the Bonaparte stuff. Then Rosalind receives a mail from Valentina Walford in regards to whether or not she wants to continue their association. They go to see Mrs. Walford, but instead of Mrs. Walford, it's her daughter that greets them. And apparently, it's so layered. It's so hard. There's just so much to unpack in this book, and it's a really long book. It's over 400 pages, which is awesome. It's so hard to unpack. It's so hard to explain because it is so multi-layered. So they go to meet with Mrs. Walford, and it's not Mrs. Walford, it's her daughter. And later on, they just lie about everything. Valentina says, "Oh, I intercepted the letter," and then Mrs. Walford comes and said, "Hey, how come you didn't meet me?" And the whole thing was a setup. The whole thing. Everybody's denying everything. It's just so layered. And Augustina wants to hire Rosalind to investigate Slater because he's been missing. And then they talk about Rosalind's going to how Rosalind had dumped Devon and Mrs. Kendrick leaving town. And Amelia says that says the father was speaking to Amelia goes to speak with the staff when Rosalind goes to Mrs. Walford's house later, and Mrs. Walford's like, "Why haven't heard from you?" And Rosalind doesn't tell her that the daughter intercepted the notes, and she ended up meeting with the daughter instead, like I previously said. But then on the way home, Amelia says that Mr. Walford was crazy about Mrs. Walford doing the charity stuff. So there's something going on. There's a hint with the charity stuff. And then Harkness arrives and tells Rosalind that her father is deceased. So there's just so much in here. There's so much with the Walfords. Who killed Sir Reginald? Who kills Fullerton's butler or manservant? And Fullerton gets arrested for the murder of Sir Reginald, and he goes to jail. And when he goes to jail, he begs Rosalind that he will pay her £5,000 if she will prove him innocent. And there's just so much. And she works with Adam Harkness, and when Adam Harkness starts making progress, he's sent off on a wild goose chase. He's taken up the case to go attend a Christmas party of the Prince Regent, only he's not attending the actual party. He's doing the patrols outside. So there's so much cover-up. And his boss, Mr. Townsend, sometimes I wonder how corrupt this guy is, because he goes honest. He tries to be honest, but he feels crooked. He feels crooked, but I don't know what he's got against Adam, but he's definitely got some stuff against Adam in his background, because he's forever trying to, whenever Adam gets going on a case, he always takes him off of it. And I mean, in the end, he's always on board and straight up and stuff, but it's just, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to, the stuff with the Bonaparte becomes a huge thing, and the stuff with the Walfords becomes a thing, and all the kids are involved in it, it turns out, and Alice discovers some useful things, and Charlotte's background comes into being. There's just so much in this book to unpack, and I don't want to tell you all of it, but it's just amazing. It's so multi-layered. It's so good. It's such a juicy story that you can just grab and run with, and there's so many layers, and you will not see this coming. you will not see all the twists and tangles and how many people know about this and all the political stuff that's going on here. It's just an amazing book, and I really need you to like and subscribe my video and let me know I'm doing a good job. And please give it the old thumbs up, okay? Um, I could go through the rest of the book, but I don't want to spoil it for you. It's a really awesome book, and let's do some more binge reading. We got one more book to go, and I hope you please like and subscribe. Thank you.